Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Non-Fungible News. As always, I am Tricky Boom. Today, we have the pleasure of sitting down with the Non-Fungible Book Club crew. We got the artists, we got the founder, or maybe you're all founders. We'll get into that. Critter has been a staple in the community since early on, and I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Builda or artist V-Chain before this too much. Either way, I know that with your guys' history, Critter's history, this is going to be something that we're all going to at least want to pay close attention to and probably jump in on it, whether you're a bookworm or not. So, without further ado, how are you guys doing today?
Doing well, man. Super happy to be here.
Yeah, likewise, man. Super happy to be here. Really excited. So, yeah, thanks for having us.
Excited. Thanks for having us.
Of course, I'd do this 24/7 if I could, but you know, sometimes real life calls, and I appreciate you guys putting the time together to make this happen. So let's start with a brief background on the three of you guys. What kind of got you into crypto in the first place? You know, why did you even start with this crazy internet money, as they say?
I want to make way for the OGs, because these guys have been here into crypto much longer than me. So please, guys, take it off. Your story is pretty awesome.
Yes, we kind of came in at the same time. 2017 was, and I guess I can speak for myself, but I can also speak for Aaron too, because we were both working at the same company down in Palo Alto. At the time, it was a mobile gaming company called Machine Zone. And the real true introduction was through one of our mutual friends who used to live in San Francisco. He was a neighbor in the building, and we stayed in good contact with him. And he actually, just invited us out, specifically first Aaron out, and he wanted to kind of like really expand on, this thing about this Bitcoin, concept and what is it? And he's like, I think you guys need to look into this, basically. So then Aaron got the kind of ball rolling for me, and we started investigating, like, what is this nascent technology? What is blockchain? What is this ledger? And researching and just kind of diving into it. But the beautiful thing too, this was all happening kind of in a vacuum, not in a vacuum, because I know there's a lot of people at Machine Zone too, developers who are working on various other projects were going through the same thing. And it was crazy when it started taking off. Then you started to see all these groups forming and people meeting up and talking about projects. I remember I would go to the break room and I met with some guys that were really big on various other projects at the time. And, there's always those intro projects, like I think with 2017, there was an ICO boom, and you had, just crazy projects kind of going up and going down. So right when we came in at 2017, that's when Bitcoin really started to kind of like really increase rapidly. And that was basically the beginning of the end for me, because I was just completely like, when you wake up from the Matrix, the Matrix, that was it. I was like, it was no going back after that, after like really diving in and learning that, oh my gosh. And really Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies taught me really the true value of what money is, because typically we're all born into this system as far as the fiat, the legacy system when it comes to like how things have done. And if you don't know any better, you're just ignorant to it, and you just think that the US dollar is just always going to be, and it's the standard. But not realizing that banks really control absolutely every component of how that money is allocated to institutions, how it's traded and whatnot. I can get more complex, but the point is that money can be more than just what the USD prints or the US government prints. It can have utility. And that was really 2017 eye-opening to me, that money can mean more than just you taking the debt notes and then spending it or investing it in a standard stock market. So that was basically my intro. Aaron, you can take it away and add anything if you need to, but yeah.
No, you pretty much covered it up. Yeah, it was like one of my buddies, he actually was an economist, and he did pretty well for himself. And he was traveling the world, and he would just kind of come into the city and randomly just call me And it was just weird. I was getting off work on a Friday from Machine Zone, and he was like, "Hey, I'm picking you up." It was something like out of a movie. It was like, and he pulls up like on Market Street. He wasn't, I thought it was gonna take longer, and it wasn't. And we go to this bar in the Mission neighborhood, and it's a Japanese whiskey. I don't even drink that much, so it was torture for me, but it was a nice bar. And so we're sitting there, and I'm just like, he's like, "You gotta pay attention to this Bitcoin." He's like, "I know I mentioned it to you guys before, but this is, you should probably start paying attention. I'm not telling you what to do, how much to spend." And so then we would go back to work. And so being an artist at work, you have a lot of time to just watch videos. You know, you can work as an artist. The beautiful thing is you can just be like working and just be like listening to stuff, kind of channeling into your ear. And you're just like, whoa, what? And then you're looking at the market, right? So this was probably the July of 2017. And so you saw Bitcoin do this, and you saw it do this. And so the more you bought, you just saw it growing, and it was just like, we're all excited and giddy. We're talking to our fellow artists around us, and we're kind of getting them kind of like, look at this, look. And everyone, the whole art side of our department was like buying crypto. It was like, we like turned and converted everyone. It was hilarious. And some people were like naysayers, "What are you doing buying this stuff? You're gonna get in trouble." And they were just kind of like, certain people were like, what you're doing is evil. Or it was just really bizarre. We were like, hey, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do with my money. So. But we really saw that happen, and it was and that's just kind of like how it started. So I'm just in there.
Awesome. Yeah, you're doing evil things with the Bitcoin, and I hear it every day out there in the world. Critter, what about you?
Yeah, so like I said, mine was much more recent. I wish I was around in 2017 in this market, but it was somewhere in 2020. You know, everybody was quarantined at home, and my cousin got into mining Ethereum and was telling me, he's like, "Dude, my computer just prints money." And I'm like, well, what's up, man? So he comes over and sets me up. And, you know, at that time, I don't remember what Bitcoin or Ethereum cost, but it was out of my budget. So I started with the altcoins. I bought a bag of Algorand, and the draw was like, oh, it pays dividends, you know, it gives a little passive leak into your wallet. I'm like, oh shit, this is great. Like, then I really started reading about the theory and everything surrounding like inflation and devalue currency. And I got heavy into investing, and I scraped together some money and found VeChain and was like, this has some real world application. You know, it brings it, people hear about Walmart, people hear about BMW. Those were the big names at the time. So yeah, I got a bag of VeChain and was sitting on that until the day that VPunk's minted. And then the VeChain's gone, but I have a lot of NFTs now and I'm having a lot more fun for sure. So yeah, that's the short of it.
So you kind of answered the next question for yourself. There was why VeChain. You know, you come across it. You must have liked their business model, everything that they kind of stood for.
Yeah, the supply chain. You know, though we sometimes shy away from it because we know that VeChain's more, the supply chain aspect is what really brought me in, because it's like, this is real world, this is very applicable. And it was an easy shift from Algorand, because like I said, Algorand paid like a dividend, right? A slice would be added back to your wallet. Well, I saw that VeChain had this gas token that was printed for you as well. So I was like, oh great, like I'll convert the gas back to VeChain, convert the gas back to VeChain, and it was seamless, man. Like my biggest bag's VeChain, and it'll continue to be, I think, despite like me getting kind of more into, you know, Cardano and a couple other things now with all our cross-chain initiatives. I'm pretty sure VeChain's going to be my #1 bag though going forward.
Aaron, what about you guys?
Yeah, likewise. So when I came in at 2017, it was like, okay, there's this Bitcoin and there's Ethereum. This obviously was considered an altcoin then. Obviously not now. Yeah, I think it was at Lisk. Lisk was a project that I kind of was listening to some influencers, and I was like, oh, Lisk, what is this? Oh, side chains. And then I realized that not much, really wasn't that special. but as you jump into the space, you start learning and you just got to swim. I mean, I invested in Substratum. There's this decentralized internet, and it didn't go anywhere. So, there's lots of those kinds of projects that, I was in those communities and helped spreading awareness. But then when I came across VeChain, I got a second what Critter was saying. Like, I read the white paper and I was like, wait a minute, there's some really legitimate use cases for this. The whole supply chain aspect the world supply chain needs to be updated, and needs to be on some kind of ledger that's easy to update, and actually something that people just can't go in and fudge and change. And then obviously understanding that VeChain's an L1, it's greater than just a supply chain protocol. It could be anything. I mean, that's what L1s are. They can kind of span out and sprawl out into like lots of different directions. And I just loved VFam, the community. I just stuck with VeChain, started like doing some 3D like advertising, kind of like VeChain logo stuff, and was posting it. And, and I was just kind of basically retweeting other people's really interesting positions and points regarding like what they bring to the table in the community, like Eisenreich. I started retweeting him, and then the various individuals that would post their charts, in regards to like really trying to understand like, the short term or the long term kind of aspect of things, and just basically giving them their credit and trying to spread awareness to like the space. And that kind of got me a little bit of credibility. And so I just stuck around. I just really still believe fully in VeChain. I just think that it has so much potential, as a lot of other projects too, but I just really like, you kind of get in with the community, and then you just kind of make a little space for yourself, and people get to know you, and then and then you're a community all of a sudden. And now that's just like my little corner of the internet is, on Twitter, and now in my own project with these awesome dudes. And yeah, it's crazy. It's been a fun ride thus far. So.
And I'll be real short, because it was Darren. It was Artist VeChain. He was like, hey, you got to read this white paper. Because we were already invested in a whole bunch of different alts. And the projects, some of them are still around, a lot of them aren't. So like, I'm glad we made the big jump. But like when I saw the B2B kind of use case, and like this project trying to plug into actual, help institutions kind of, hey, we got this bridge for you. All you got to do is walk across, and we can make you more efficient. We can basically put eyes where there aren't eyes, in your supply chain. I was like, when I was reading the white paper, I was really there's a lot of things I didn't understand, but I was like, starting to really learn more, like almost like the whole blockchain technology has kind of made me smarter. Like when you're really having to like force to understand these concepts, and don't get me wrong, I don't understand everything. It's pretty complex, but I mean, I think all of us can sit up here and say that we're like the experts in our like friends groups, because a lot of people just don't know this technology, and they question it. They're just looking at price action. That's all they're looking at. They're not understanding like utility and use case. So when I read that white paper, I was like, ooh, this is like gold, and then, doing some research on the CEO and things. And I was like, yeah, I think this is one that if you can keep your feet in the ground, you'll be all right. So.
Yeah, that's kind of the same with me. First crypto I bought was Algo, and that was through Coinbase. I did the learn and earn, researched a little bit about it. Same thing. I didn't understand anything that they were talking about, but got into Algo and then started researching about crypto, and, just kept the snowball effect, and kept on going, and then found VeChain, and I was like, yeah, I'm in on this one. And then I got into NFTs shortly after VPunks, but I did get in on the rise. I think I have a 17,000 vet rank 9,000 VPunk right now, because
nice.
When those were on the rise. Yeah, it's all good though. I don't lose sleep over it, and never will. So
to make you feel better though, in 2017, like I'm just gonna be honest. We saw our bag I called my dad one night. I'll just it was like after work, and I'm like, Dad, I've made it. I don't know how much money. You have no idea how much money. He's like, son, that's great. I'm just looking at like I have all these different bags, right? And I'm looking at them. I'm like adding them all up. I'm like, and this was probably like in the December. And this is before the big, the bleeding. But so we're like, oh, I'm still going to work. I'm still dedicated to my craft, but I've never had this much money. And just to be honest, never cashed out. Didn't really even know how. Well, kind of knew how to, but there weren't really off ramps. There were, but they weren't so easy to kind of like access, right? So even trying to get out at the right time would have been like kind of a tricky, So we didn't. I just bled out and was holding bags, and I was like, oh, but I just was like, I wasn't even mad. We were just kind of like learning. I was like, I knew this was going to come back. And then, of course, it went up and it came down, I think a couple times since then. So I just wanted to make you feel better that I was once rich, no more.
No,
That's the benefit.
it's all good. You know, we know that we're going to see these. And if you believe in the projects that you're in, then it's all good.
Exactly.
So based off your guys' career, I would guess that NFTs were kind of an easy transition for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like our first kind of introduction to NFTs was when I was doing those 3D advertisements for VeChain. I was just basically modeling some like the logo and then changing the textures on the logo and posting it. And then I think it was Creed Method at the time. Jackson reached out to me about like doing some artwork because Aaron actually, or Bilda, did the Cream Method logo, and I just kind of put it and actually shared it on Twitter. And then we basically got in contact to work on the Vim project, so Vim World, and they wanted to have their actual characters redesigned, and they brought us on to do that with a really short execution window. Like we didn't have much time to do that at all, but we had a really good art director that we were working with on their team, and he was great. And we just were grinding on these characters in Photoshop, just mostly digital painting. Some of them I used a little bit of 3D because we were on such a time crunch. I needed to like speed up the process of just rendering, but they liked what we did. And we basically finished up what we needed to within that time, within the actual schedule that was permitted, and not really knowing what NFTs were at the time. We were just doing artwork. Then we kind of get to see how that artwork was going to be implemented. And then that's when I started to kind of understand, oh, wow, okay, I'm getting that these are collections and there's more to it. There's utility components, you know, and then how Vim World had their system where you had to feed your actual NFTs just to kind of add more value in that kind of staking mechanic that they designed. And then I realized, me and Builder took a step back to like analyze, could we kind of start designing a project for ourselves? So we started working on a project which we shelved now in the background for months and months and months. And and that was kind of like how we got kind of introduced to NFTs. And I just started doing research, and you're starting to see like what the original V-Punks and the price skyrocketing, and then you seeing all these NFT projects on Ethereum just go crazy, ballistic. I'm just like, wow, what is going on? And to see though, the beautiful thing for me though, to see when V-Punks came out, and then to see what happened to the VeChain NFT space just ballooned. Like you had projects come out of the woodwork. That was really exciting to kind of witness. Like we just had, I think it was Vulcanverse and Vim World, and that was it. And then now we have like Mad V-Apes, and I mean, like, you know, you got tons of projects, you know, it's pretty amazing to see.
Critter, I know that you, this was probably 3 or 4 months ago, you wrote an amazing article outlining your V-Kings journey and your NFT journey. If anybody that's watching this has not read that, I would encourage you to go read it. It's a really good write. Why don't you kind of walk us through your time in NFTs? What made you pull the trigger on a V-Punk when there was, I mean, little to no NFTs in the VeChain ecosystem?
It was beer and a Friday night, dude. Like, I was, not a joke, man. I was drinking beer with my buddy, and I saw the D app. You know, I didn't even know that I didn't catch any advertisements about V-Punks or anything. It was just suddenly in the D app, right? And minted one, and I just remember the feeling. It was like when you were a kid at the pizza shop and you put the quarter in and you know, turn it, like what team's gonna come out? I got the Niners or whatever, you know. It felt like that again, and I was like, man, there's something so intrinsically motivating about minting a project. I just thought like, man, this is great. And a couple days passed. I didn't mint very many. I got like 3 or 4, but then I started kind of reading up on NFTs in general and play to earn, right? Because some of that chatter was starting in the space. And boy, I mean, I threw at the time, I think my whole bag of vet into the mint. And then I remember the feeling of sitting there with NFTs in my wallet instead of the vet. And I was like, damn it. Like I threw away all my vet because I didn't fully understand what I was doing, right? And so I was like, I better sell a couple, you know, for profit. I think I sold 2 V-Punks. And that was the last I had ever sold a V-Punk because the week after, it just went brrr, and I was like, boy, like there's all the vet that I maybe would have wanted, right? But I saw like the, you know, that big climb and then the natural decline into where the project should be, right, for the products that it offers. But I think that it triggered something in me to go like, hey, let's take a chance on this Vikings collection, right? And so I didn't do it alone. It was me and my brother, man. Like we loaded heavy, like we loaded 4 wallets or 5 wallets heavy. Had a training on the white list. I was showing my nieces and nephews, like, here's how we're gonna do it. Everybody fall in line, you know? And so the day of the mint, we had like my nieces, nephews, my kid there, my brother and myself. And boy, we had all the gadgets we could. We minted as many as possible at the time before it got out of our, you know, price range. And really just held. And as soon as like little inklings of a marketplace started being talked about, I just told my brother, we are not selling a single one of these. And boy, am I glad like he saw it for what I saw it, because our bag's 50-50. I mean, it's a complete partnership. We have to agree on anything we do. And our decision to hold, man, I mean, the staking is what we had dreamt of months and months and months ago. And we told ourselves it's years in advance, but it's worth the hold. And the fact that, you know, Bread, Shrimp, the VC team, He-Man got it going this quickly, we're super pleased. So yeah, my journey with NFTs, and then the community, man, like I was messaging, I think Shamrock from Mad Bee Apes earlier today, and I was just like, I hang out with you guys probably more than my real friends at this point, and it's just that you guys are right here on my phone, you're right here on my computer screen. I have my kids and my family life, and this just fits just so nice, man. Like meeting artist VeChain, Builda, and yourself, Tricky. Like, I mean, these are quality people here, and I think that's what's kept me here. Also, the distinguishing between the kinds of projects I wanted to be involved in too. Obviously, that kind of came with experience, right? So yeah, I mean, I just love it here, dude. I mean, no better way to say it, you know?
It's a good place to be, a real good place to be, boys. So now we'll get into your project. So, I mean, we got some true OGs up here on the screen today. Crypto OGs, NFT OGs in the VeChain community. You guys are starting a project. I'm bullish on it just because, Critter, I know you're an OG, and now Builda, an artist. I know you guys are OGs. I'm more bullish than before. What are we looking at when we talk about non-fungible book club? Because it's different. It's definitely different than, you know, the average, the PFP collection or the art pieces. It's something a lot more unique than that.
Critter, take it home, man.
Yeah, you know, as somebody who's tried to go through like the publishing route before, and I've helped ghostwrite a book for a woman about this super personal subject, and she loved this book, and just seeing how rough that road is with publishing for someone who cares about their art, or someone that creates their art for a writer. Having witnessed this NFT space, I realized like there's a whole market of communities, writers, project leaders that don't know about how Web3 could be leveraged to support their art, to reinvest in their own communities, the followers of their art and their books. And so it's funny, like a year ago, I wrote this book, very small book, right? Like a novella, technically. And I wrote it as part of a series of 3. And I've been working to try to find a way to get it into Web3 and NFTs. And unfortunately for a writer, this space is very visual, right? Like we want to see the beauty of the art. I've not run into a situation where it ever felt sustainable to launch the project before meeting artist VeChain and Builda. Like when we met, like not only our morals, like our politics, our experience in the space, it was just like a massive union. And it just felt like, okay, now it's go time. It's time to introduce in a time period where I think it's very important, because, you know, we're at a place where we need to grow the VNFT space right now. It's almost like a point in time where this was going to happen regardless. I just happened to meet the best guys to launch it with. And so the 3 of us formed Non-Fungible Book Club. And the idea behind it is leveraging the technology to target a new market, and hopefully bring along a lot of people from that market if we're able to show some success and sustainability with the model, right? So if you have questions, man, anything more specific?
Well, I got to throw it out there. I've always been referred to as non-fungible news. Sometimes people just tricky boom, we're just non-fungible, non-funge. So when I hear somebody start to say non-fungible, I start to think news. And then when Non-Fungible Book Club came along, and I've heard other people kind of make the slip up too. It's like, oh no, he's not talking to me. Anyway, I love it. Okay, so you're trying to bring writers and books into the Web3 space, and that's a good point that you have, that this is extremely visual. I mean, the comic books are, there's a lot of different projects doing a comic book. Tokyo Warriors is writing a novel to go along with their project. So I think it is getting a little bit more integrated, but I could see how just totally a book, bringing it right into Web3 be very difficult.
Yeah.
So what else can you share? Like, hey, you're not a PFP. How's this whole NFT going to work with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, there's no secret. People don't really have time to read these days, man. Like, Tricky, you work, you do this, you got kids. Like, there's a reason why there's a steep incline on the audiobook market. And that's because people have more time to put their pods in. They're doing their typical daily work. Aaron and Darren were talking about it earlier, how they kind of can multitask with their job enough to listen to. And so I know that in terms of targeting any kind of market that's already showing a great increase, it's the audiobook market, right? But we're in a NFT space that project looks very different now. And so we wanted to keep like a lot of the traditional kind of like degen elements of a project, right? Like we're, as part of our mint, and it's also like totally in lockstep with our mission statement of like, look, when you're not paying your publishers, your marketers, and your agents, you can actually share that money back with your community. And so with that in mind, we're incorporating something called a degen lottery. There's basically, I think it's up to 30 prizes. They're just these very unique, beautiful looking bookmarks, which if you were to happen to mint one, there's a percentage of the mint tied to it as an airdrop right back to you. So that's like our play on icons in the space. Each 3D bookmark, it's a rotating asset, like full 3D, multi-dimensional asset. Each one's paired with that audiobook. The audiobook's an hour and 17 minutes. So even if you just mint one, your low-hanging utility is an audiobook with it and a story that it tells you. If you're lucky, you're going to land one of those degen lottery bookmarks. And then we introduced like some of the gamification that like the World of V cards, Genesis cards introduced, like set collecting. So we've established, since we are planning to be a very long-term project, the guys are currently completing like our second phase of this project already, and we haven't even launched our first one. We want to establish a membership for our non-fungible book club. So part of that's like sort of a gamification like the Genesis cards taught us, or the Virtual Flame Studios, the nerds. We have like set collecting. So if you collect a set of 5 bookmarks that are part of the same color scheme, we're going to be utilizing the BC Arcade to burn it, get yourself a codex. These gentlemen have designed some really beautiful membership NFTs for us. So we're sort of offering something for everybody, because we recognize that this is still the NFT space that is used to profile pictures. And so we want a lot of the degen elements still in our project. We want to offer something for everybody, if that, makes sense. And there's one utility I don't talk about a lot, but honestly, I'm most excited about. And aside from like our community fund, like that DAO that most people have, or groups have, we have our Philly fund, philanthropy fund, right? Because we think that charity is a massive utility. Like there's projects on Ethereum that are truly changing people's lives because they've sliced a percentage of their utilities towards charity, doing good for others and sharing that. So we have also built within. So, I mean, your base utility, an audiobook, all those other utilities fall in between though, So multifaceted project is what I'm trying to get across. And where we're headed, it doesn't look like a book club for much longer, though that is one of our key focuses. So we have a lot planned, truly, man.
I like that Philly fund idea, and it's amazing that because we kind of touched on this earlier, the traditional banking, they make the money, they make the debt, their cut is larger than anybody would even like to think about. And when you get out of the traditional banking sector and into this decentralization. There can be so much money left over for things like philanthropy. And, I think there's still a lot of skeptics, but I think something like what you guys are doing to bring reading, because reading it's been around. People have been writing and reading past the time to read. You want to learn something, you read. It's never going away. It's just transitioning. I think what you're doing is pretty cool, and you want to keep the degen aspect. I think you have kind of a happy medium for skeptics and for degens. So are you guys going to eventually try to be like an on-ramp for the average Joe who's writing books, publishing books? Are you guys going to try to be an on-ramp, reaching out to these different writers, say, hey, we want to offer you this angle, because you were talking about cutting out the publishing cost and everything like that and going straight digital, straight audio. I think that would pique a lot of people's interest when they put the thought into it. Is that a direction that you guys are going to go?
Yeah, 100%. We want to focus on the success today, right? Because successfully launching these books that we have already planned, we're using we are using most of the vet generated from any of these mints towards the community, right? But what we'll be able to have is a lump sum to say, hey, writer, we notice you have a very stout community and people will pretty much follow you anywhere. Are you interested? Look what we did as an amateur writer. Look what I was able to accomplish in the Web3 space. You guys have all of these people that already follow you. Can we show you this model, right? And that's why we're really just so focused on making sure this does well, because you can't fake that kind of social capital, right? I can't go and say, hey, I got this idea. I'm this like, well, who are you? What have you done? Well, we've done this. We're non-fungible book club, and we can assist you with this. That big initiative in the VeChain community, Tricky, about getting more wallets onboarded and how we're sort of creating an action plan. The VeChain, the community leaders discussion that was last week. This is right in line with that, right? It's targeting a group of people, hopefully somebody with following, right? To help onboard new wallets into the space, because they'll come for their author, and this is the dream, right? They'll come for their author's book, but they'll also be on VC and World of V going, oh, what are these other projects? Oh man, this is beautiful art. Oh man, this looks like a fun group to be a part of. And that's how Web3 can grow. So that's a very ambitious plan that we do want to work on, but we have to start today, right? We have to have something successful to show. And like I said, we're multifaceted. We're going to offer, through the non-fungible book club membership, plenty of things that maybe we're more used to seeing, but done in a new way or with some quality that we haven't seen, thanks to artists VeChain and Builda. Yes, to answer your question.
It's a lot to wrap a person's mind around, but I think once people start to understand Web3 and crypto and just where we're at in the world right now, and like you said, people have time to put in their earbuds. They don't necessarily have. I read the Bitcoin standard. I've been reading the fiat standard for like the last 3 months now, because I just simply can't put together the time to get too far in it. But I think it's great. And it sounds like you guys all have in real life jobs, so you're not going to be trying to eat off the plate here. You're just going to be pumping it all back in and not on trying to go on a moon mission from day one. Slow and steady and just try to build.
Yeah, more than half of our, which we don't have a mint date, we're building community, but more than half of our mints going right back into the community. And if we're able to succeed with that first book, the second book's going to see even more of that mint going to the community. Like we're just trying to establish that we're going to be here for a while, and we're going to use these funds in ways that can benefit a lot of people.
If you would have asked me 6 months ago what I thought about pushing back a mint, I would have said it was detrimental to a project. I did a lot on Cardano, and a lot of people that pushed back their mint, well, they lost trust from the community. Then people were thinking, okay, so they're just so gung-ho, and then all of a sudden, they can't do it, so they're gonna. Anyway, over the last 6 months, I've kind of I've seen it happen a little bit more in this smaller, more quaint community that we're in, and I think that's pretty admirable at this point. I guess you could say depending on the project, but what was your reasons for pushing back the mint?
I guess I can just jump in there. Well, primarily, we've only been around like for what, not even like a month and a half now. Critter Artist VeChain, like we're so new. I mean, we are full tilt, like working really, really hard. So we're just right now, like Critter just mentioned, we're just in community build mode. So we're just trying to build infrastructure where we're all 5 of us on our team. We're all just trying to understand each other, row together, come up with different ideas, implement different roles, different kind of sub roles. We're all like really just wearing multiple different hats. So we're really just trying to kind of feel each other, and we all work really well together. Like there are no issues. I'm having a ball like working with these guys, and it's really strange because it's kind of one of the better work experiences I've had. And I'm just now seeing him for the first time, and we get on these calls twice a week, and it's like I know him, but now I'm just seeing him the first time. It's like crazy. It's so trippy to me. I'm just like, man, I can't believe but he's such a good, solid dude. Like we'll talk, we'll have meetings. If there's misunderstandings, we clear it up like instantaneously. So it's been and I'm just loving this kind of community that we're building and how we're all just coming together and building together. This to me is like worth it for me, just to see what Critters has done. He's basically brought the vision. And when we all met, he came with the vision. He's like, this should be community focused. And me and Darren were already kind of thinking, like if we did an NFT project, we had certain things on one of our shelf projects that was kind of leaning in that direction, but he had it really well thought out, well outlined. And it was just like, man, like we were like, he was just letting us know his plan. We're like, yes, 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 yes. Yes. I'll let you go, Critter, but like it's just we're so dynamic and just I think we're all seasoned humans. Like we've been in the world and we know we want to build something that is just a little more like inclusive and just friendlier, but also forward thinking with technology and stuff. So that I'll just end that.
I only just wanted to add I agree with everything you just said, but to add also, it was really important to us to see in this Web3 space that the artists were the founders as well. Like the 3 of us I've written these books, artists and Builda have created the visuals that make it viable to push it out into the space. And like to us, that's something that's super important, is that we're demonstrating that the Web3 space has the potential to be that the artists can be founders, not just contracted, contracted individuals involved with the project. So I think that's something unique and something I'm super proud of because we just gush over each other's work constantly, and it's like this is a real art environment. I'm just very thankful for that.
And the audiobook is dope. Like we've heard it all. So Darren, go ahead.
Okay. So when we first came together, the audiobook was being edited. I think Critter had found a new narrator because the previous narrator, it just culturally wasn't really working. And I'll let Critter speak on that later. But when he finally got them completed and then we got to sample and listen to all the chapters, I mean, I was already in like euphoric kind of mode, but then after listening to the audiobooks, I was like, I was floored. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I mean, I'm like, we have a really complete project. I mean, it's just so awesome. Like you guys are going to be really pleased when you listen to what Critter has written. It is fun. It is awesome. Like you're going to want the second book. Like that's just, I want the second book.
Yeah, me too. I want it now. I was like, this is it. Send me another chapter. I'm in Discord. Hey, is that
it? That's awesome. I know I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I'd like to ask, why would people invest in you guys? What would you tell people but I think that question's been answered because there's several different schools of thought. We could say, well, we got some OGs from 2017. We got Critter here that minted. And he's seen every single project come onto VeChain. You guys have seen every single project. I mean, I would say that you guys could have dropped a project for, 5,000 pieces last January, minted out, being as you guys are who you are and you know what you know, and just taking our money and ran. But just listening to you guys, I don't know, it's just, you guys are down to earth, and you're definitely offering something that is different. And I think there's no reason not to invest in you guys. So what's the collection size? I know there's going to be, collecting, which I really like the whole aspect of collecting, not just like trait chasing as they call it. I think, well, I like that one, not the whole collection aspect. So what is the right off the bat, what's the collection size, and then burning and all that stuff after the fact?
Yeah. So 3,000 collection size of the bookmark assets. 300 memberships will come out of this first burn. Yeah, at least that's where we're planned right now. Like, obviously we don't have a mint date, but as of right now, that's what we're going with. We really, as far as the memberships go, we want to keep it we don't want to go more than 500 memberships. We figure some people will hold multiple, because our codexes, the membership books, they have different designs to them that'll indicate different benefits, right, in the future. But like, we just want to stay at about 500, and that's not going to happen after, that's not going to happen right away. We want to first engage our community, see if this is something they want. If we're successful, I've written 3 books. We wouldn't be selling all 3. We have airdrop plans and things like that, but the most out of this phase would be 500 memberships total. But to answer your question specifically about the first mint, that's 3,000 bookmarks.
And what's the price point on them?
We have a whitelist for $670 and set $700 for public mint.
Right on. And it'll be collect 5 of the same color bookmarks.
That's essentially it. So like, there's 5 different colors. There are 5 unique bookmarks in each set per color. The colors are important because they translate to what kind of membership you would get at the burn. They'll all have the same base level, but we just want like certain enhancements. There's like a fire codex, and that'll have, maybe a month of enhancements or something. We just wanted to build that kind of utility for the future. We have plans generally, but for the short term, and understanding it that, it's 5 colors, 5 unique bookmarks within each set of colors. And they represent characters in the story. You notice that there's little figures on them.
Right on. Well, we are just about out of time here, but do you guys have any final words for the viewers?
I wanted to share something real quick. I wanted to show one of the bookmarks, if that's okay. It wouldn't take very long.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, there we go. All right, you should be able to see the screen now.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a 3D texturing application called Substance Painter, and this is the tool that we use to texture all of our assets, all of the bookmarks and all the future things that we're doing. And then I also show something else at the very end, just a little quick demo of, or not demo, but like a preview of like what one of the codexes looks like. But there's no textures on here. As you can see, this is just a basic. This is one of our bookmarks, and I'm just going to go through what this application does. It's literally like just a texturing application. So I'm gonna, and Darren, you can kind of take over while I turn all this on.
Yeah, so like Substance Painter is kind of like a 3D texturing Photoshop, like has the same kind of layer system components as Photoshop has. And the reason why I'm referencing Photoshop is I think a lot of us have maybe touched it. Even if we don't use it, we kind of understand. Maybe we've fumbled around with the layer system. So, and for us, originally being concept artists, this tool was really easy to kind of absorb as far as it being a really cool tool to utilize, because the learning curve was a lot shorter because we were just familiar with how the tool was designed. So what Aaron's doing in the viewport, he just dropped or turned on a gold texture layer.
Yep, this is a gold.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And basically he's just turning on all the different layers that are turned off that replicate how we went along and textured this bookmark as far as the design. So he's just and so you can do a lot of really cool stuff with Substance Painter. You can design within the application. You don't have to have it just completed as far as your vision. You can trial and error as far as the placement of things with alphas. Like if you look at the word punks and awaken, we brought those in from Photoshop as alphas to stamp onto the actual bookmark, and we made them emissive layers so they kind of have this glowing component to them. So this is showing you that it's actually a 3D asset. So I'm rotating all the way around it, and this is what our bookmarks say will be 3D. So they basically will be. I think the way we're setting it up is it's on a turntable, and it's just basically turning around. And you're more or less, you can listen to the audiobook while you can view these assets, which is kind of a cool visual feature while you're listening. So yeah, this is like one of the examples of one of our premier. I believe this is is this first place?
This is the first place bookmark. Yeah, thank you. I should know this. But yeah, this is that. And then I don't want to take up too much time, but I wanted to show you one of the codexes. Are you guys cool with me showing one of the codexes? Real quick, and like zooming in and out of it and showcasing it. So I'm going to switch over to that real quick.
I'm cool with it.
All right, cool. So this is the Royal Codex. So you get all 5 of the purple ones, and you'll get this. And this is the asset. So you'll be able to basically zoom in. You'll be able to rotate. So when you get these assets, you'll be able to rotate around. And we basically textured every angle of this thing. And this is your membership codex. Would look like. And so you can see it has our logo up there, and then all this like chinks and scrapes on the metal and stuff. So this is the power of using 3D texturing applications like PBR texturing applications. Is like you get really cool, very, very like detailed, like design. So that's the beauty, and it's like something you'll be able to rotate around and view from different angles. Like, so we didn't really this isn't going to be like a flat asset. This will be a 3D asset that you'll be able to kind of experience all of its kind of creation. So, yeah.
That is amazing.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see actually what goes into this. This is something that I've never been walked through. People usually they just talk about it and what inspires the art and stuff, but actually kind of getting a little taste of how it works. This is really amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, all these things. Go ahead, Aaron. Sorry.
Yeah, so we plan on in our actual Discord. We want to teach, give tutorials on how to use these tools. We're not like a silo. We want to share the knowledge that we know. I want to share the knowledge in design and art history that I've gained over the years of not just from school, but then in the industry, learning from other professionals. I want to share that knowledge with other VFAM artists that are working on other NFT projects, or potentially if you want to learn to become an artist, you can come to our Discord and, and just kind of, watch what we do. We can have conversations even. It's not just, or you can come and share. If you have something that you want to share that we don't know, we are open to learning too. So, we want to be a really open community. And,
I just dropped copper on top of it. I'm going to turn it off. I don't want to ruin our codex, but but this is you can't really. This is a 3D application like Photoshop. You can't mess anything up. But then you can go into the copper, and then you can I want it to be like this. So wow. It's really like, and there's like hundreds of these pre-built texture, basically PBR textures that you can just drop on. Let's make it concrete.
Oh wow.
You can do so much, right? And then you can darken it. Oh, it's a little bit too light. So let me go into the settings a little bit. Hold on 1 second. Where's my layers? Oh, here. Oh, this one doesn't. So some of them don't really allow you to change colors. It all depends on how these things are designed because they're custom made. So you can't really. I would make it this one differently, but it's still pretty cool. Like people actually volunteer and make these, and they give them out for free. So you gotta understand, we are really wanting to educate people on how to use some of these tools because the metaverse is coming in. So if you can learn some basic tools that aren't that hard to learn, you can have, usable skills within a very short time to like actually make your own assets and build a brand for yourself in this very Web3, 4 world, So we want to also share what we know to help our community and the overall community. Like, hey, well, we're going to hold your hand and walk you through some of these steps. Like, this is a little bit more advanced, but it's not hard. You just got to know how to go about. I want to see our awesome codex. But
no, you better believe I'll be in that Discord trying to learn some of this, if nothing else.
Yeah. It's not very hard. So let me. I'll just shut up now and I'll unshare my screen. But yeah, we are really proud of like what we're building as a team, and we're here for the long haul. We're not here like to just look, we're gonna mix. We really want to educate. So we're just in the building mode right now. So.
Well, definitely, you should be proud of what you're doing, because I mean, this is amazing, and the fact that you want to share it and teach others, I think, speaks volumes as well.
Yeah, we're like, I think all three of us, I can speak for us. We're all here to just offer, like, we want to create quality, but we also want to, hey, like, you can do this too. This art, to me, I'm an artist. It's not any different than anything else. To me personally, and I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but if you just put in the work, you have a visual design language that you can develop. I think every human has it, but you just got to put some time into it, and then you'll be communicate something to the universe that I think a lot of people will respect, and that can be for anyone. I think my level of art only comes from the hard work that I put in. That's it. It doesn't make me better than anyone else. We're not coming at it like, oh, look, we're these badass artists. That's I'm too old for that. I just want to help people learn, and then that's it. That's it.
That's all amazing. So that is all we have time for today. So I appreciate you guys coming on, and we will definitely have to check back in after your project is launched.
We'd love to, man. This has been great, Tricky.
Yeah, Tricky Boom, thank you, man. I'm like so ecstatic to be up here and to be part of like of being interviewed by you, man. Like, this is great. You're just making history. So I'm loving it. So
I agree, man. Thank you very much for your time, man, and just thank you, man.
You bet. We will we'll chat again soon.
Awesome.
All right, brother. Have a good weekend, man.
Yep, you too.